Yeah, I mean, I try and just I try and think about some key points in matches. So often the beginning is quite crucial. So I'll try and rehearse. I often think about that situation of you've warmed up, you're feeling it, you're probably at your most nervous, you've been thinking about the match all day. And that first few rallies can sometimes, different things can happen. Points might run away. You haven't started quite right, or whatever's happened has happened, and a lot of, I'll definitely practice that period for that first game. So I'll think about, okay, it's 4-all in the first, it's level. What am I thinking? What am I going to do? Okay, I imagine that my opponent is sort of working me really hard, and I feel like he's getting me on the run, and I need to. So I try and imagine that situation where I'm out of breath and I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, and I've got to respond to that. I've got to not panic. I've got to say to myself, just envisage that situation and say, I've done the trainings. This is my response. I'm going to stay with it. I know I can last for an hour and a half. I know I can do this. I've done the training. So those are the things psychologically I'll be saying to myself if things start off difficult. I might imagine. I do associate it with points sometimes. So I'll say, right, it's 1-all and 5-all, and I'll just go through that situation. Or it's 1-all and 7-2. I'm 7-2 down. What do I do?
Okay. And what's your when do you do that? Is this the night before, a few days before, on the warm-up itself? When does it happen?
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be as close to the match as you feel necessary. It can be weeks before. I think I try and make it quite specific. So, it's usually a couple of days or on the morning of a match. I try and do just some thoughts, and it doesn't. I don't want to overdo it, so I don't sit there thinking for hours and tiring my mind out, because I've got a lot of work to do that day. I've got a lot of energy to use, so I try and save my energy. But it's just to spend 10 minutes or so just thinking, this is what you're going to do then, and it's 2-all, and it's 6-all in the fifth, and we just think, okay, the pressure's mounting. What am I going to do? I'm going to stick to my game plan. I'm going to, or you might imagine going 2-love down. I sometimes do that because it just means that when it happens, okay, I've prepared for this. I imagined being 2-love down. I almost practiced it. I ran through it in my head, and I knew what I was going to do. I was going to either stick to my game plan, or I was going to try and find my length. Just having some sort of a plan. I mean, you have to think on your feet in a game of squash, obviously, because you don't know what he's doing or what the tactic might need to be changed or whatever. But yeah, I think fairly close to the match is okay, but the night before is good, the morning of. You can do these things in your training as well, weeks in advance. If you've got a particular opponent, you might want to just focus on that opponent. Or if there's a certain tournament coming up, if you're playing a big tournament on perhaps a glass court or a different environment, those things, it can be helpful just to imagine what if it's a different environment or a different squash court that you're playing on, for instance, just trying to be aware of what might go wrong or right. And I feel that if I can face those wrong moments, especially the wrong moments, I can have a response to those difficult periods in matches if I've been through them in my mind before.